Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Sophia if you're new here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys the 3 IKEA hacks that I did this last week. You guys loved the last time I did an IKEA hacks video, so I wanted to give you another one. So let's get started. For our first project, we are going to be making a floor lamp using the Hema light fixture and light bulb from IKEA. The first thing I needed to do was find a large branch. I found this one in my backyard and I just simply pulled the bark off. This is a lot easier to do if your branch is wet, and I was lucky because it had just rained. But if not, you could just take your hose and just hose down a large branch to get the same effect. And after I cut down the branch to size, I needed to figure out a way to get it to stand upright, so I decided to use cement. You get this huge pack of cement for only $10 at your local hardware store, and I used only about half of it before sticking the branch inside. So after I got the consistency that I needed, I simply stuck the branch right in the middle of this plastic container. You want to use a plastic container that you'll be able to easily peel off. And then to secure it, I'm just taking some scrap wood and screwing it around so I can get the proper positioning for the branch. And then I just let everything sit here for at least 24 hours before removing any of the parts, just to make sure everything was really nice and secure. I did pick up this planter from IKEA. It was part of their Winterfest collection after Christmas, and I only paid $2.50 for it. So definitely go shopping in IKEA after Christmas because you can find some really good deals. And now that the cement has all dried, it's just time to peel back that plastic bucket. The cement isn't really for aesthetic, it's just for function. I just wanted to make sure that when I put the branch in the planter that I bought from IKEA, that it was nice and secure and wasn't going to just fall over. So now I'm just cleaning it off with my broom and just getting it ready so I can put it in the IKEA planter. And now that our base is all built for our floor lamp, it's just time to string around the Hema light fixture around the main part of the branch. For a floor lamp, this is a very affordable DIY. So for the Hema light fixture, it's only $5. The light bulb that I chose was probably one of the more expensive ones, but because everything else was so cheap, I wanted to make it a little bit more expensive looking. And that light bulb was on sale at IKEA for $9.99. The branch was obviously free because I picked it up outside in my backyard. The planter I had gotten on sale, but you could obviously use any planter. And then the black spray paint that I sprayed the planter with was about $3.49, and then the cement was only $10. So for the total cost of a floor lamp, this was only $31. For the second IKEA hack, I really wanted to make over this Hemnes IKEA shoe cabinet that I've literally had forever. And I've seen so many people make over this cabinet, but I've never seen anybody do what I did. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did what I did. The first thing and major change I wanted to make was I just didn't really like the legs anymore. They just were a little peg leggy, and I wanted to give this more of a mid-century feel, so I just asked my husband to use the circular saw to just saw those right off. If you don't have a circular saw and you just have a handsaw like we're using here, that's also fine. A lot of sometimes what we use is more just for speed and not really because you couldn't do it if you didn't have that specific tool. Now that the old legs are off, almost off, and now we're all the way off. So now that the old legs are gone, I needed to add some new legs, and I found these ones off of Amazon. They were a super affordable price, but the problem was the diameter of the legs that I ordered was just a little too big. So we needed to add a slab of wood to the bottom so that the new legs would have something to attach onto safely. Now I got lucky. I happened to find this spare piece of wood on the side of the road, but if you don't get so lucky, you can just make a trip down to the hardware store and just have them actually cut the wood exactly the size that you need to make sure that it's gonna fit nice and snug underneath this cabinet. And now it's just time to cut that piece of wood so we can place it at the very bottom of this cabinet. Now, no one is going to be seeing this. Again, this is just for function more so than anything else. So now that that's all cut down to size, it's just time to pop it at the very bottom of the cabinet. And again, no one is going to be seeing this. So there's a little pocket at the very bottom. So I'm just placing it in that little pocket and making sure that it's nice and snug. And to make sure that it stays nice and put, we're just going to be attaching these brackets. These brackets are super affordable at the hardware store as well. So we're just screwing one on either side, one to the new piece of wood and one to the existing cabinet. And just because we're perfectionists, my husband decided to bust out our very high-tech clamps. You don't really need these if you don't have them. It's not a big deal. So he's using these clamps here, and we're just making sure again that it's nice and snug, and he's going to screw in the other screw to the scrap piece of wood. And now that we've created the new base for our cabinet, it's just time to add our new legs. So in order to do this, I'm just placing the leg right up next to the brackets that we had used, and I'm just marking exactly where the screw needs to go into. Now these legs did not come with the drill bit you would need to drill this hole in order for the screw to go through. So that would be something that you would also need to get at the hardware store, but again, very affordable, around probably $5 or $7. And now using the drill bit, I'm just gonna drill all the way through. Now the screw that came with the legs is actually quite large, so that's why you want a drill bit this big. So I'm just drilling that all the way through to the back of the base of the cabinet. And when that part's all finished, it's just time now to add the brackets that it came with, so then that way it creates the groove that you'll need for the screw for the leg to go through. So I'm just screwing this in with my drill, and it's just 3 screws all around, and then the main screw goes through that middle hole. And now that that's all screwed down, it's just time to put the main screw in to the actual leg itself, and I just did so using a little Allen wrench. And this is how the legs are looking at this point. Give you guys a little sneak peek before we do the big reveal, but first we have to paint now. So before you paint any IKEA furniture, you need to prime it, because if you don't prime it, it'll have all these little weird streaks, because there's a finish on IKEA furniture that it just doesn't take to normal chalk paint or other paint well. So you definitely want to use a good primer, and I'm just rolling it on there really well. I actually did 2 coats of primer to make sure that everything was really nicely covered. I know this part is actually really hard to see because the furniture is white and so is the primer. So now for the paint, now's the fun part. I loved the white, but I just wanted to change. So I ended up using this one by Behr. It's a chalk paint and it's called Fresh Earth. And it just felt a little bit more organic, a little bit more grown up. And that was really the vibe that I was going for. So I ended up needing to do 3 total coats of this paint. So I ended up using pretty much the whole can to cover this entire cabinet. I did the faces first, and then I did just the rim of the faces on the sides. So total cost of this makeover for this IKEA cabinet, the cabinet itself is $99. The legs were only $13. The scrap piece of wood I got off the side of the road, so that's free. The brackets were only $2. The primer is $11, and the paint itself was $20. So all in all, for $146, I have a beautiful mid-century modern cabinet. And I like to save the easiest hack for last. I've seen so many people do this sort sew hack where they use paint and they make art or they make pillows, but I've never seen anybody do what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I did. I was really needing some cute decorative little storage baskets for my son's nursery. And obviously these are just gonna go in the closet, but you want it to be nice to look at. And these are so affordable. These are supposed to be little mini rugs, and they're only $3.99, which is an incredible price, especially with all the fringe and the detail. It's actually a really nice rug. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm just trying to iron out some of those wrinkles just because I want to be sure before I start sewing and gluing that everything is exactly how it's supposed to lay. I'm going to show you guys how to do this 2 ways. The first way I'm showing you guys is how to do it with a hot glue gun. You want to make sure that the tag is facing out and that your seams are matched up pretty perfect. So I'm just making sure everything is nice and together, so then that way it'll be nice and even when I glue it down and it won't be all wonky. So I'm just taking my hot glue gun and I'm simply just gluing down each side of the rug. If you don't have a hot glue gun, you could probably use some sort of fabric adhesive if that's what you prefer, but this hot glue gun worked perfect for that. And honestly, less is more, just because I didn't want a bunch of glue popping out on the sides. So I'm just simply using a little dab of glue, just a little line of glue all the way down either side of this rug. Now that you've finished the one side, it's just time to do the other open side, doing the exact same thing, just doing little lines of glue. I wouldn't do one big line just because the glue might dry towards the end, it might get weird. So just go in small little, I did like 1-inch sections and then pressed and then waited a little bit and then went again. And now that we're glued down on both sides, it's just time to turn it right side out. That's why you glued the bad side down first, because you want what's showing to be the good side. Now that you've turned it right side out, I wanted that fringe part to be exposed, so I'm just folding that over the front and the back, just to give it a little bit more detail. And just showing you guys, again, you can also do this with a sewing machine. My sewing machine isn't anything fancy. I got it off of Amazon. Now, it doesn't take the thickest of fabric, but luckily this rug is thin enough that it's able to be fed right through. But let's say you don't have a sewing machine, you can absolutely just do this old school needle and thread. And obviously sometimes these things that we use is just to make our lives easier, not necessarily because I couldn't do it without a sewing machine. So just try to keep that in mind. So all in all, for this storage basket, it still really only cost me $3.99 because I had everything else that I needed. And that is it, 3 IKEA hacks. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, because I post home decor and DIY content every single week, and I hope I see you guys next Sunday.